The deadlift is one of the most common exercises you'll see in the gym. Is this an exercise that distance runners should be using? Today we're going to uncover the pros and cons behind deadlifts, the different variations that you can perform, and how to incorporate these in your training. The deadlift has been around for hundreds of years and can be performed in multiple different ways. It's a helpful way to improve strength, power, and endurance throughout the entire body, specifically around the hamstrings, glutes, and trunk. You can think about a deadlift more as a category of exercises as opposed to one specific exercise. To simplify things, you are picking up an object from a dead position, lifting it up towards the sky. Functionally, this has a lot of relevance for day-to-day tasks, and many deadlifts are going to target specific muscles that have to work a lot when you run. A deadlift is a type of hip hinge movement where most of the movement happens from the hip joint. This is different than squat type exercises where most of the movement happens from the knee. Deadlifts, you're thinking about getting longer, while squats, you're thinking about getting shorter. So what are the benefits of deadlifting? They can improve strength and power in your glutes and hamstrings. They're a great way to enhance your capacity in an upright position. They're helpful at improving grip strength, a common impairment in distance runners. They can help strengthen the bones of the hips, pelvis, and spine, and can be a helpful rehab exercises for runners dealing with proximal hamstring tendinopathy, glute med tendinopathy, or symptomatic FAI. Let me take you through where I typically start runners and where I progress them to. I'll often start patients and athletes with a simple hip hinge pattern using a PVC pipe. This can be a helpful way to work on moving from the hips as opposed to moving from the knee. The idea is to keep contact between all 3 points on that PVC pipe, allowing a slight bend in the knees and going through a comfortable range of motion. Once a runner has mastered the PVC hip hinge, I'll take them to a kettlebell deadlift. To start this exercise, I'll have them place the kettlebell between their legs with the kettlebell handle at the level of the knot of their shoelaces. This often feels like it's a little bit too far posterior for the performer, but will be helpful if you're working on correct form. I'll have the runner grasp the handle with both hands, imagine sitting their hips down and keeping their chest up, and then maintaining a vertical plane of movement as they bring that kettlebell up to a standing position. When viewed from the side, the kettlebell should move straight up and down as opposed to anterior and posterior. I'll use this kettlebell variation, increasing the weight by 5 to 10 pounds each week until we run out of kettlebells. At that point, I'll transition them to a trap bar. Trap bars are a fantastic implement to use in your strength training routine and can be found at many gyms. They're also easy to purchase off Amazon if you're willing to part with 100 or 150 bucks. I'll cue runners to stand in the middle of the bar, imagining that the bar goes directly through both legs, and then again go through the same cueing as with the kettlebell variation. Grasp the trap bar with both hands, sit your hips down, and stand the bar up. Once a runner is comfortable with the trap bar variation, I'll have them perform 3 sets of 5 to 6 repetitions, focusing on increasing that weight every week. As a baseline standard, I'd like all my athletes to be able to perform 5 trap bar deadlifts with 1.25 to 1.5 times their body weight. And there's other variations that you can perform with the trap bar as well. You can use a lighter weight and focus on speed. You can incorporate carries with your deadlifts. You can also perform straight bar deadlifts, which isn't something that I have my runners perform because of the skill required for the movement. All right, let's get into planning. All the variations that we've gone through are bilateral or require 2 feet on the ground. I'll often start runners performing single leg RDLs using 1 dumbbell in both hands. They'll pick a foot to stand on, put a slight bend in that knee, squeeze their shoulder blades together, and then focus on dropping the weight straight down like they're gonna set it on the top of their shoelaces. Over time, we'll progress this to a dumbbell and a single arm on the opposite side of the working leg. This requires more rotary stability and control and can be great for incorporating some foot strength and balance as well. Bilateral and unilateral deadlifts work on different things. I'll often have runners incorporate both during their strength plans, simply on different days. One day of the week we'll perform a heavier variation with 2 feet on the ground, while the other day of the week we'll incorporate a single leg version with a little bit less weight. Unfortunately, deadlifts can produce a fair amount of soreness, especially if they're new to you. So ideally you incorporate these in your off season where it's okay to work through a bit more soreness and not when you're actively training or racing. Deadlifts can also require a large range of motion from the hip joint, and so we should be cautious with incorporating this while we're progressing the speed of running or a lot of hill work. Often what I will see is an overprescription of deadlifts and other exercises targeting the hamstring and glutes with the assumption that this is going to be helpful. I'll cap the number of sets targeting the posterior thigh to 5 or 6 sets per week if a runner is actively training. The deadlift is a great option for runners to incorporate in their strength programming. I hope this video gives you a little bit more insight into the exercise and how to implement it with yourself or with your athletes. Thanks for watching.